They want this.
Yeah.
They know how important this is.
Yeah.
They know how historic this is. Anything that you put on this stage tonight, they're fucking grateful and lucky to see it and have it in their face.
A little Whitey McWhitey in the burlesque world.
We've been told for a long time, oh, there's no way you could possibly cast that many POC in one show because there aren't enough in the Pacific Northwest.
And it gives me extreme pleasure and all of my parts to be here with you tonight, hosting night 2 of What the Fuck? And all-BIPOC Burlesque Festival.
What the Funk? Welcome to We Live in Color. And yes, What the Funk? We had to open up with that trailer, okay? Queer Film Festival is presenting What the Funk, a documentary of the talented community of our burlesque community members, as well as other community members. I'm just so happy to have Ms. Pucks here.
I'm glad to be here. I'm so glad to be here right now.
Can we, like me and Curtis were back there looking at the trailer before we started. We kind of just do run a show. And Curtis said, no. We're starting when you stop talking. You don't need to talk during this spot. She's going to basically set the tone. And that's what you did.
Yeah. The way that this trailer is cut, shout out to Daniel Chang, who edited our trailer. It immediately punches you in the feels. It immediately takes you to where we were in that moment, which is, like you said, we're about to put in the work. The work is here. This is the mission. This is what we're doing.
How did it feel to finally see everything be brought to life in that space?
I mean, it's wild. It's been a 3-year journey. We started the filming of this back in 2019 when we did the first festival, and we had no clue what was coming on the horizon. You know, that we were gonna this work was really hard and really fulfilling, but it was a nice big lift. And we're like, nothing else is gonna be as big as this. And to realize that just, a few short months later, we would be living through something that was going to be even more heavier than trying to make a festival happen, We're
going to talk about that today, okay? We're going to talk about the documentary. We're going to talk about Queer Film Festival. We're going to talk about community building.
Yes.
But when we come back, I want to know a little bit more about Mix Plucks a Plenty, okay? Your Pucks a Plenty. I got to say it right, okay? We'll be right back. You're watching We Live in Color.
Get ready, everyone. October 24th and 25th, Converge Media is heading right back to the Paramount Theater. Join me, Besa Gordon, Eric Calligraphy, Trey Holiday, and the entire Converge Media family as we once again broadcast live with conversations on art, culture, mental health, community issues, and more. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment. Head over to whereweconverge.com for more information, and we will see you October 24th and 25th, streaming live across all Converge media platforms.
Community, it's been 3 years since we've been able to celebrate in person at our annual Evening of Choice. And this year at Access in Pioneer Square on October 19th at 6 p.m., we will be back together again, celebrating our journey, healing towards justice. This past couple of years have been incredibly difficult for our young people and our community at large. And one thing that has become clear and absolutely true is there's one way forward that brings all of us together, and that's as we heal. And when our young people heal, they're truly able to become who it is they've been purposed to be. So on this evening, you'll hear stories of our young people, hear the evolution of our organization as we emphasize healing in our cause. And together we will celebrate another year of impact and growth as we journey towards justice together. Again, it's at Access in Pioneer Square, 6 p.m. on October 19th, and live streaming will be available through YouTube at I Choose 180.
It's the respect for me. So that's what we was talking about. I'm here with Miss Puxa Plenty. I'm so happy to have you here. We got What the Funk, y'all, coming tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow.
Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I'm gonna get. Like, it's been, like I said, 3 years in the making for this. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be not only premiering our film there, but to be the opening night gala is beyond what I ever could have imagined.
Well, it's well deserved. I mean, Community has been literally screaming for representation, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And here we are, right?
Yeah.
And you are one of the compasses that's helped drive that. So very happy, one, to have you in the Black Media Matter studio, but I also want to get to know you a little bit too, right? So can you tell us a little bit about Kia?
Yeah. So Mix Puxa Plenty is my stage name. I am Kia Puckett, and I was born in Seattle and grew up in Kent, Washington, and burlesque sort of found me at a really weird time in my life. I had just had my son, and I was going through postpartum depression really bad, and I was watching Netflix, and I found this documentary about burlesque, and it just kind of sparked something in me. Like, I want to see this. I want to see more of it. And everything I could find for 7 years was mostly rooted in white representation. I wasn't seeing a lot of performers of color. And so I felt like it wasn't really a place for me to be, but it was a place for me to go and see a thing. It's like, I can't do ballet, but I like to go watch it, I can't act, but I love to see movies, So that's kind of how I felt burlesque is like, it's something that I am meant to enjoy, but maybe not necessarily do. And 5 years ago, I decided to finally take the plunge and take a burlesque class. And honestly, the rest is history. If it wasn't for, the Goddess Brick House, Isabella L. Price, we have Pearl Noir out of New York, Egypt Black Nile in LA. If it wasn't for some of these amazing Black femmes, I never would have found my place within this art form.
Is it hard to find that place within the art form here? Has it been? What was it?
Seattle is, as we all know, is really white. Very, very white. And last count, we have more than 30 BIPOC burlesquers, but less than 50. And, fat Black queer femmes, that number is even smaller. And so part of it is not getting tokenized. It's like they would have only one of us was allowed to be in a show. And if one of us wasn't available, then you go down to the next one. And if that one's not available, you go down to the next one. They would never be like, hey, we should have as many of these Black and brown folks in that show. It's like, we can have a token.
Yeah. And so what put you, can I ask you, what was that breaking point where you're like, you know what, forget this. It's time for us.
Part of it was going to see the Sunday Night Sugar Shack, which is produced by Brick House and Cinderella Rosa.
Shout out to Brick House. Love
yes. You. Love Brick House. And so seeing that show and just seeing how Black and brown bodies are literally worshipped in that space is incredible. And then what happened next was what I call a moment of oppressed pettiness. I had a white producer here in town basically tell me that funk music, classic funk music, no one wants to see a classic burlesque act to that. No one wants to see a glamour burlesque act to it. It doesn't really count. And I looked at her and I said, that's fine, and decided to create a 2-night burlesque show featuring an all BIPOC performers, but focusing specifically on funk music. And that was back in 2018.
So can I ask just a question?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the first song you danced publicly to?
Burlesque-wise, Free Your Mind, In Vogue.
Okay,
yes.
And the rest will follow.
Yes.
It's like you manifested everything,
right? Absolutely.
Right?
Like, very first act was a Black Lives Matters act and it was very, very political, very in your face. And that's kind of been my stance ever since.
Yeah. And going through that process, right? Were you able to, like, during the pandemic, what was that process like, right? Because everything just stopped. I mean, we had so many entertainers that were just like kind of being in a space of being displaced.
Yeah, you're without. And so it was either not perform or pivot. And so a lot of us pivoted into virtual performance. And so I joined forces with 5 other producers to create a virtual burlesque festival called Sequence and Sequestered. And we had performers submit videos from all over the world. And then I started focusing specifically on like BIPOC only cast with live bands virtually. We started looking at like plus size shows. And so the main drive was I had to teach myself how to edit music and how to edit videos and how do we broadcast this. And so it was a huge education. But really, my main focus was how do I put money into the pockets of Black and brown folks that do this art form that can't go into the clubs right now, can't go into the bars, we can't go on stages. And so that was my major pivot, was like, if I can teach myself how to do this, I can take care of my folks.
Yeah. And how was it doing the business, right? But also like being a parent throughout that process?
It's really hard because when I first, when the pandemic first started, I was living in a tiny apartment. And so my son would go to bed, I would throw up a backdrop in between his bedroom and my bedroom, film my burlesque stuff real quick, tear it all down, and then go to sleep and wake up. My son is autistic. My son is very literal, and he thinks I'm a superhero because of all the costumes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Isn't it great?
How old is he?
My son's 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Little superhero.
Yeah.
Now I got to ask,
Mhm.
because you know how our families can be, right?
Mhm.
What was it like? How has it been like going through this process, right? Of career, of elevating, of being your whole full self. And we know a lot of our communities, especially our community, right? There's that, hey, wait a minute, Bible thumpers. Hey,
Mhm.
wait a minute, let me post them secretly on Facebook. Like, what's that process been like for you?
It's been really hard. My mother and father do not get it. I don't speak to them anymore. They weren't really fond of me being queer anyway. But you add in this burlesque thing, I'm polyamorous. They're like, nah.
Can I dial back just a
Yeah.
second? Can we talk about growing up queer, or did that was it always in you, or did that just happen? And if that's too much of a question,
No,
just
absolutely
stop
not.
it.
I always figured something. I always tell people I was wired for sound differently. I knew I was. I just couldn't figure out exactly what was happening. And when I did finally come out to my mom in my early 20s, she just stared at me and she goes, "Oh, I knew, but I just kind of secretly hoped it would go away."
Hoped it would
It'd
go away.
Like if we didn't talk about it, if we didn't nurture it, then it could just die on the vine and we won't have to deal with it. And so that's kind of been my upbringing, was just like, if we don't talk about it, it'll disappear.
Like all our households.
Right? And it'll just die on the vine. And I was a very depressed individual and have a lot of trauma in my life that is surrounded by not knowing myself and not knowing what my identity is and feeling very lost and confused. And so burlesque was the one place that I was able to it all came together in such a cohesive way. I can be queer in any way that I want to be. I was able to get the courage to come out as non-binary because of burlesque.
Can you define non-binary for our community members?
Yeah, non-binary basically means that I don't really identify as a woman or man. I feel like I kind of dance in between all of these spaces. And, I tell folks I'm not divorced from my womanhood. I have a child. I'm a mother. 30 years of my life was heavily informed by being ID'd as a woman. But that title doesn't fit me anymore. Yeah. It doesn't feel authentic. And the more I lean into what feels authentic to me, the more the things that I want to manifest and bring to life, they keep coming to life. There is something to this self-love stuff. There really is. And it's like, I'm always trying to spread the gospel. Have you heard about this self-love stuff? It's for real. Right. It's real. And so being able to love yourself and be able to put yourself in the boxes that you personally want to be in is the most freeing experience. It really is.
Yeah. And I just love community, right? I was just telling you before we came to break, how much I love you and the other person that shares your name. So shout out to Brick, right?
Yeah.
It's like watching y'all be so free, as a person. And I talk about it a little bit, but not enough, right? While I was going through addiction, right? I felt like the only way that I could be confident within myself is if I was being sexual or feeling sexy or feeling handsome, sexy, beautiful, or sassy, So I just really just appreciate the art. And one day I would love to find my art. So I look up to you ladies so much in the process,
it is a journey to find oneself. I tell folks that I am closer to who I think I'm going to be than I've ever been in my entire life, and it feels amazing. And there is this pressure put on us by society, by our family, by the world at large to be all these things all the time. But don't be too much. But you're not enough. And so there's this too much not enough that we all deal with. And I think that we all have our vices to deal with these different things. I would say that burlesque has opened up so many doors. It is an addiction.
Yeah. How is it an addiction? Tell me how. Hold on. You know what? Hold that thought. We are going to talk about how burlesque is an addiction when we come back. You're watching We Live in Color.
Get ready, everyone. October 24th and 25th, Converge Media is heading right back to the Paramount Theater. Join me, Basil Gordon, Eric Calligraphy, Trey Holiday, and the entire Converge Media family as we once again broadcast live with conversations on art, culture, mental health, community issues, and more. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment. Head over to whereweconverge.com for more information, and we will see you October 24th and 25th, streaming live across all Converge Media platforms.
Community, it's been 3 years since we've been able to celebrate in person at our annual Evening of Choice. And this year at Access in Pioneer Square on October 19th at 6 p.m., we will be back together again, celebrating our journey, healing towards justice. This past couple of years have been incredibly difficult for our young people and our community at large. And one thing that has become clear and absolutely true is there's one way forward that brings all of us together, and that's as we heal. And when our young people heal, they're truly able to become who it is they've been purposed to be. So on this evening, you'll hear stories of our young people, hear the evolution of our organization as we emphasize healing in our cause. And together we will celebrate another year of impact and growth as we journey towards justice together. Again, it's at Access in Pioneer Square, 6 p.m. on October 19th, and live streaming will be available through YouTube at I Choose 180.
And we are back here. Shaylon's dropping stuff. We are back with We Live in Color. And I'm here with Miss Puxaplenty. You know what were we talking about before the break now?
Oh, burlesque is an addiction.
I wanted to talk about your addiction.
Yeah, and it's burlesque.
Okay.
Burlesque is my addiction. I tell folks that burlesque isn't something that you get into. It happens to you, and it can take over your whole life. I don't think there hasn't been a day in the past 5 years that I haven't said the word burlesque like 10 times. It's it's my hobby, it's my passion, and I somehow managed to turn it into a career. You come into my house and there are rhinestones everywhere. Like, that's an addiction. Like, you're just like constantly like, do I really need this?
You just bedazzled everything.
All the time. All the time. Do you need, like, my partner will vacuum the floor and you can hear the crunchy noises, and he opens up the thing to pour it out and it's just rhinestones.
Okay, rhinestones.
It's so many rhinestones. It's a thing, but like also it's like you are chasing some type of high to be a performer, I think. Runners have the runner high, and that's masochism at its finest, running until it hurts, right? And so with performers, there's this exhibitionist streak in there. And so you get fed from the audience. And so it's a high like no other.
I love how she closed her eyes. Like, yes, I can feel it. Okay.
Yes.
So in like, as you've been opening your shows, right? What has the support been like from community?
It's been really interesting. The queer community, like as a whole, is pretty accepting of burlesque. Burlesque is surprisingly queer. And then it's been kind of a slow go with members of the Black community.
Okay. Why so?
I think it's because we strip, we take off clothes. It's very, it's not what good church going folks do. You don't go and strip. We don't strip naked, which is great. Like we strip down to pasties and a G-string in some cases, but there is this element of it being adult entertainment that I think is kind of standoffish. Also, I think that, especially Black folks, our sense of bodily autonomy and like in sensuality and sexuality and like ownership of our own bodies, that's relatively new,
Right,
in the
right.
grand scheme of things. And then, and even still, like, our bodies are very policed and very controlled. And so I think there's still a lot of work that we're doing to own what it means to be sexual and sensual and free people.
Yeah.
It's hard to be free when you don't feel free.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, and through that process, you've gotten community support. And I know you said something about family, but has any of your family came to see any of your shows?
My mom did come to a show, and she did not like it. She did not like it. She spent most of the time afterwards trying to fix my outfit on me. But I've had like some cousins come to shows.
Shout out to the cousins. 'Cause
Yeah,
cousins know you, right?
Yeah, and then like a couple of my aunts that live in California are like, we got to come to Seattle. We got to come see this. So they're very supportive. Like when the pictures come up online, they're liking and loving it, and be like, "That's my niece." Like the aunties are into it.
Yeah.
It's really trying to get like my mom and dad on board, which I don't think is. It's not. This is not what they pictured. They thought maybe I would, be like a wedding planner or maybe like a journalist.
It doesn't matter how old you are, regardless of where you're at in life, you still want your parents to choose you, right?
Yeah, you want
And
your
that's
parents to be proud
extremely
of you, right?
important. I'll look at the camera.
Yeah.
It is very important for your parents to choose you.
Yeah.
I was talking about somebody there.
Right,
But-
right. But like, it's this. I have this feeling inside me, and I try to talk about it with folks. Is like, I tell folks that like my love language is words of affirmation, but it's hard for those to penetrate deeply because you have the mother wound and the father wound, right? And so how do you work through that? How do you deal with that? And that's learning how to parent yourself. It's learning how to parent your inner child, because it doesn't matter how many times people tell me they're proud of me or they enjoy my work or how much I've helped them. If I'm not doing this work to be proud of me and to nurture this younger me that wasn't nurtured by my parents, loved by my parents, I'm never going to feel it. I'm never going to get it,
We must go to the same therapist, because talking about healing your younger self to grow to this person that you're becoming, and let alone like through the craft that you have. Can you tell us about some of the wonderful performances that you've had? Come on there.
Yeah. In terms of other performers have come.
In terms of other performers, in terms of just other Black queer performers that we can
yeah.
films.
A big shout out to the Luminous Pariah, who's based here in Seattle. Amazing Black boylesquer who is part of a super troupe mod carousel here in Seattle. Moscato Esertique, who is a trans burlesque performer, and just incredible. Of course, we have the Goddess Brick House. We have so many performers here locally, BIPOC performers that really have been putting in the work, and who are queer and like living out loud. Big shout out to DeMonica Leone, also known as Leo Maine, who does not only as a brilliant burlesque performer, but also does drag, is a drag king, and is currently Imperial Mr. Gay Washington 2022. And getting to literally grow as performers alongside of these folks. It's incredible, and we influence each other. We lift each other up, we elevate each other. It's beautiful to be a part of this. And then when we look at performers in the Pacific Northwest that want to be here and be with us, we have Isaiah Esquire out of Portland, who comes up quite a bit. We love Isaiah. And we have Ava DeJour, who is based in Tacoma. Like, there's so many performers of color who are just putting in the work and don't get as much love and shine as they deserve as pillars of the burlesque community.
Yeah, and I really feel like What the Funk is going to do that when it premieres tomorrow. Are you nervous?
I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous because I'm a bit of a control freak, and so I love to see the.
What's your sign?
I'm a Gemini with a Capricorn moon.
Shout out to the Gemini.
Yes, but I'm a bit of a control freak, and so I love looking at the ticket sales as they're coming in. And Seattle Queer Film Festival, thank you so much, Seattle Queer Film Festival. They have the tickets, so they're keeping track of it. So they're seeing them come in, and I don't know, and I'm just like, tell me, I want to know. because I want as many people as we can get to see this. And what makes me feel really good, though, is we have performers who have been in this festival who live in Idaho, who live in Oregon, who live in Alaska, who will be able to watch this virtually from home. And I'm like, that makes me very happy.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to be there. I shall be there.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about it. But what do you think people will say when they watch this film? Because even the trailer, I mean, Curtis was just, his jaw was dropped. He was like, the opening is just killer. So God knows, we know the documentary is going down. Are there any specific moments in the documentary that was like gripping for you?
I'm a person that my whole brand is built on being as vulnerable as I possibly can be. I want people to know where I'm at any given time, like what the emotional state is. And 2019 was a rough year. My husband had left me the year before, and so I had planned this whole festival after my husband walked out. Oh, wow. And basically abandoned me and my child. And so What the Funk was like kind of my therapy. The festival, building the festival, putting the festival together, working with Rebecca and Davis as my co-producer was a way for me to exercise a lot of that pain. And so I think that some of that vulnerability and where I was at emotionally kind of peers out a little bit. It's learning how to be pucks again without my husband, without the, I was used to my husband being my right hand on a lot of these projects, these things I would do. And I would look to my right hand and he wasn't there. Yeah. And so it was really learning how to ask for help from other folks and look down and be like, actually, there's more than one hand there. There's lots of hands there. Right. And I never noticed those hands before. And I'm really glad that I can notice and appreciate those and shake them and let them know that I love them. So I feel like that's something that will really come through the film. Is there's a lot of heart, not only for myself, but all the performers in this. It was a big deal for a lot of performers. This was the first time they had been in a festival, or first time that they've been in a festival where it's all BIPOC cast. And for a lot of them, it was the first time they were ever getting paid to be at a festival. So a lot going on there for folks.
It's a lot going on. Mm-hmm. It's just, when you were saying that, I just hear this confidence, and you talked a little bit about your childhood. So I just have to ask you, what would you tell the younger self? What would you tell the younger Kia? What would Miss Pucks tell the younger Kia?
I would tell them that all of that dancing that you did when you were little, all of the wanting to make people laugh and smile, you're going to keep doing that. And you're going to do it in a way that's going to take you to some really amazing places. We're going to go to Panama and perform. We're going to go to Georgia. We're going to go to Atlanta and headline. We're going to go up to Vancouver, BC, and we're going to shut it down. And you're going to be making people laugh and smile, and you're going to dance. You're going to do all of these things. So don't worry. Everything that you used to do when you were little to make, your parents smile and make people laugh, all of that's going to come in handy in the future.
And here we are.
Mm-hmm.
What
Absolutely.
the funk?
Yes. Tomorrow.
Yes. So we're going to talk a little bit more. We do have a We Live in Color tribute coming up, as well as community events. You're watching We Live in Color.
Get ready, everyone. October 24th and 25th, Converge Media is heading right back to the Fairmount Theater. Join me, Basil Gordon, Eric Calligraphy, Trey Holiday, and the entire Converge Media family as we once again broadcast live with conversations on art, culture, mental health, community issues, and more. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment. Head over to whereweconverge.com for more information, and we will see you October 24th and 25th, streaming live across all Converge Media platforms.
Community, it's been 3 years since we've been able to celebrate in person at our annual Evening of Choice. And this year at Access in Pioneer Square on October 19th at 6 p.m., we will be back together again, celebrating our journey, healing towards justice. This past couple of years have been incredibly difficult for our young people and our community at large. And one thing that has become clear and absolutely true is there's one way forward that brings all of us together, and that's as we heal. And when our young people heal, they're truly able to become who it is they've been purposed to be. So on this evening, you'll hear stories of our young people, hear the evolution of our organization as we emphasize healing in our cause, And together we will celebrate another year of impact and growth as we journey towards justice together. Again, it's at Access in Pioneer Square, 6 p.m. on October 19th, and live streaming will be available through YouTube at I Choose 180.
We're back where we live in color. Representation matters. For years, Queer Film Festival has continuously tried to make sure that we are visible as Black folks and queer folks in community. I've had the privilege of working with them for the past 5 years, facilitating panels and attending many of their events. The next event that I'll be at after Miss Pugs, of course, on the 23rd will be for Black As You Are. I want to just show y'all a small little trailer.
Can you tell me, when did you realize you were different?
I was always told as a little boy that I was too pretty to be a boy. And I just always felt like I was different from everybody. So I was like, you know what, I need to find out who I want to be and what I want to do.
I can understand a woman wanting to be like me and step up into power. But gayness says something very different. I can't understand you born with power and you want to give it up to be like a woman, right? In real layman terms. And I don't know if there's a stigma in and of itself. I know it's a problem.
Hey, y'all better help do it. Oh, yo, uncle. I've always been called a girl, a this, a that. I had knives held to me. I had people hold guns to my head. I had people try to rob me over the fact that I was gay or trans or I look like a girl or I look like a boy.
If my son came home and said he was gay, man, I might have to get a stiff drink first. And then I might have to say, well, you know, help me understand where this shit just came from.
Please.
And remember, there'll be a panel discussion after Black As You Are, hosted by myself, Deaunte Damper. Watching that was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we think about our community members impacted how we were as kids, just watching those kids, I see myself. What about you?
I do. I feel it's simultaneously feeling seen and also immediately wanting to put my arms around everyone and hold them. It's, yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the 23rd, and I can't wait for tomorrow. But as we talk about our younger selves, right?
Yeah.
We do our We Live in Color tributes. So can you tell us who you're tributing today?
I am tributing my cousin, Avery Wilcox Jr. He was murdered last year, and he was 28 years old. He was a barber, and he was everything. I miss him every day.
What would you like community to know about him?
He was so talented, just and loving, and he cared so much about his community. He wanted to teach people how to, the art of being a barber. And one of the things he would say when he got his day started every day is, "We got action." And after he passed, that's how I wake up every morning. I clap my hands and I say, "We got action." And I just, he was a baby and he's gone. And it breaks my heart. But I'm out here, every day I get to say his catchphrase and put in the work, because he was all about putting the work and the hustle. So I'm gonna keep hustling.
And you got action, sis.
Mm-hmm.
You got action.
Yeah.
I appreciate the work that you do. I appreciate Avery for saying we got action, for doing the work in the space. I need a barber cut myself, but but just appreciate those. Nothing's like cousin love. Shout out to my cousins, because it's that type of support that's different than any other support that you can get. So we celebrate Avery today. We say his name. He's looking at his cousin right now, getting ready to open up a documentary tomorrow. You got action, sis.
Got action.
Got action. So if you can do me a favor, look in the camera, just tell, hold on, before we do that, let me put some respect on your name, and I'm gonna go to the events that we have. We have another event. We have an event coming up tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Sunday. Black Trans Joy is going down on the 16th. I cannot wait. Lavender Rights Project, every month, y'all cease to amaze me. The work that y'all are doing. We got community performances out there. I shall be skating. I have not skated. I ain't skated since roller bounces. So I'm going to be out there. For more information, please look up lavenderrice.com or look on Facebook or Instagram with Lavender Rice Project. Shout out to y'all. The staff there is so amazing. The work that y'all do for fun and advocacy just ceases to amaze me, and I appreciate y'all. But tomorrow, can you do me a favor, sis, and look in the camera and let people know what tomorrow is?
Tomorrow is the world premiere of What the Funk, a love letter to the POC community. And we will be at the Egyptian Theater as the grand opening gala to Seattle Queer Film Festival 2022. So make sure you grab your tickets for that. Make sure you grab a pass so you can enjoy all the films throughout the 10-day run, 13th through the 23rd of October. And it's also available to view virtually in Alaska, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho.
All that. You got action, sis.
Got action.
Okay. And then keep in mind, so I know that's next, right? But what's next for Miss Plus? I know you got something.
I always have something. There's always something. Anyone that knows me, like, yeah, what's the laundry list? Also tomorrow, we are kicking off our Kickstarter campaign for our next festival, which is Fat Less Fest Northwest. That festival, it will be the first all fat plus size burlesque festival in our area, and it'll be January 6th through the 8th, 2 nights at the Triple Door in downtown Seattle, and then a brunch show at Madame Lou's over in Belltown. And so the Kickstarter, like I said, it kicks off tomorrow. The campaign opens tomorrow. We're trying to raise about $30,000 for that festival. So I encourage you to go to @FatLessFest Northwest, or you can go to @Production on Instagram to get more information, and make sure that you follow, like, love, comment, all those things, because we're trying to do bigger and better things every year. Every year we're bringing you something bigger than it was last year. And production, my little production company, we've been around for 4 years now, and we continue to grow and get bigger. And it's really, most of the time, it's just me at my desk in my office. So definitely check us out, throw support at us. We're fiscally sponsored by Shun Pike. So any donations that you make to production are tax deductible.
That part.
Well,
I appreciate you, sis, for coming on today. I appreciate you for being a guest. You know that you and anybody from the community is more than welcome to come. Next time you come here, I might need you to teach me. I can 1-2 step. Yeah. I'm like a Britney Spears, oops, I did it again type of dancer, but I really need to be like, I'm a,
we need to Beyonce you.
Yes, Beyonce me, Renaissance me, sis.
Yes, please. Let's make a pact. I'll come back next year.
Okay.
I'll bring a boa.
Okay.
I'll bring some gloves, and we'll do a whole thing.
No mask, because the last time I had to wear never mind, sis. I'll tell you about it. It's a long story.
I can't wait to hear that story.
It's a long story. On the next episode of We Live in Color, I cannot wait for this next guest. I'm so happy that she's coming. Yeah, that's right. Takia is coming. She's on the way, y'all. Art of the Matter season 2 is coming up, and Takia got some more plans for community. So sis is coming in here tomorrow. I can't wait. And next week, I can't wait. But tomorrow, I'll be at What the Funk. In the meantime, y'all, walk with love. Thank you for joining We Live in Color.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.